All right, boys. So I finally tracked down the movie Kraken, the Norwegian horror film Kraken. I finally tracked it down. It was on my top 5 most anticipated horror movies of June, and I finally found it on July 1st. Rented it on Amazon for $10. What a scam. I synced it. I've done synced it, and I have a review for you. If you're not familiar with the Kraken, what rock are you living under? Can I join? Please. Too much stimulation in the outside world. It is a Scandinavian legend. Stuff of myth, lore, fantasy, but to some, actually real. There are eyewitness accounts. Now, did they really see the Kraken or just a 50-foot squid? I don't know. Clearly, they don't know. But nonetheless, there is a legend that continues to grow. And it's cool to see a movie put the Kraken front and center. I am sure that there is an anus joke there somewhere. Watching this movie, I was kind of hoping that it was going to be kind of a sleeper hit like Underwater, 2020's Underwater with Kirsten Stewart, a movie that was in fact in my top 5 of that year. I still rewatch that movie with glee because Cthulhu, baby. That movie was just such a banger. Everything from the design of the suits to the concept of being in a facility underwater to the surprise that it was in fact a Cthulhu movie by the end of it. And it's a sequel that I am still grieving that we will never get. But nonetheless, watching the Kraken, the story is simple. And maybe that's one of its biggest negatives for me in terms of what the characters, justifying the characters' existence, because these characters really kind of they were a good reason for why I was like, maybe I'll finish this movie in parts. Maybe I'll watch the first half now, second half later, because these characters were mind-numbingly boring to watch. The story follows a marine biologist who is researching strange activity in a small Norwegian island. Now these fish, the salmon, are not acting normal, and there is a high-frequency, strange alien sound coming from beneath the ocean surface. So what does one do if not go to this island and investigate? And so our main character meets up with the rest of our cast, and the rest of the movie is a slow build towards the inevitable confrontation with the Kraken. There are no spoilers in this review because there's really nothing to spoil. The movie is pretty straightforward, and as you would expect, there is a message about humanity fucking with the ocean. Don't do that. It's all here, but what we're all here for is the creature feature action. And does it disappoint? Absolutely not. The last 35 minutes, no, you know what? The last 39 minutes, those extra 4 minutes are important. The last 39 minutes are actually quite fucking excellent, I gotta tell ya. But the build-up, the first 55 minutes of this movie are insanely dull. The characters suck. You have the usual corporate storyline. Someone's trying to make money from investors. Obviously, the ocean is at risk of being affected somehow, some way, and the rest of the cast are in a morally gray area where eventually, they will come to terms with the sinister plan of this corporation and decide, I don't want to do that anymore. Of course, it's too late. The Kraken is pissed off, and now you are tentacle food. And the dub that they have on Amazon, because there was no option for sub or dub, absolutely none. The only option, I couldn't even bring up the options list. That's how little option they have. They didn't even bother giving me the options option. It's just, it almost feels like AI generated dubbing. It was fucking rough. And if you close your eyes, you could have almost felt as if you were listening to someone give you a PowerPoint presentation. It was abysmal to listen to. And that was a big reason for why I almost just kind of stopped. I was like, I don't know if I can endure this shit. I don't do dubs ever. But I trucked through. I pushed through. And around the half-hour mark, there is... we begin to allude to there being this thing underwater. There are some good practical effects in this movie that... towards the start, that lean into the creature feature aspect that I enjoyed. We start pushing through all that, but the movie doesn't really kick off till the 55-minute mark. And when the characters are as interesting as watching semen dry, it feels longer than 55 minutes. But when we get to that 55-minute mark, what you have is a very classic feeling creature feature where you have a final girl down to a tank top and an axe surviving. It all takes place on this sort of facility that is in the middle of the ocean, connected to a pier, and it's pretty fucking cool in terms of the location. Again, I love small town horror, so this just felt like small fisherman town getting fucked up by a kraken. Now, it doesn't fuck up the entire town, but our main cast does go through a hell of a lot in this facility to try to survive. I was curious about how they were going to use the environment when the creature is clearly just in the water. How is the Kraken going to go about utilizing its tentacles in a smart way? And they actually circumvent that question, because the Kraken, like it does in certain lore, actually releases parasites, these little parasitic things that look like roaches, fucked crabs. And it looks disgusting and fucking freaky, and I loved it. This was very unique. There was a horror of the ocean type look to it that I really liked. I really loved that they leaned into. The thing looks fucking disgusting, and it added a little variety to the action sequences or the chase sequences. But when the tentacles start ripping through the building and chasing them, there's some really tense stuff. The Kraken is sound focused, so there are moments, very particular moments, where our main character has to stand still while the tentacles are while one singular tentacle is groping her. And that scene was really nerve-wracking and really disgusting, which was excellent. That's what you want in a creature feature. There's all the good stuff that you want from a creature feature stuck in one location, trying to survive this thing that is angry at humanity for doing what it does to the ocean. But it was really great when it was just doing that. When it was trying to do character stuff, it didn't work. Mainly because every creature feature, every horror movie needs to have some kind of corporate through line where corporations suck, and we know they suck, and we need somehow, for some reason, every movie to remind us that they suck. We get it. The problem is you follow a corporate asshole who's just not interesting as a character, and you know he's going to do slimy shit, so you're kind of just waiting for him to do slimy shit. And then when he does the slimy shit, you're like, good, that means we're closer to the actual reason I'm here, the Kraken. And there's some weird subplot between the main character and her ex-love interest, who she and him now find themselves in the same location, even though they promised they would never see each other again. And there's this weird tension where it's you're looking at me and I'm looking at you, and maybe we can just it's kind of it's stupid. It goes nowhere. It really goes nowhere. They almost forget it, and then through the power of struggle, they kind of forget everything. And that's never brought up again. So it's a complete waste of characters. Man, when the Kraken comes in here, he's cracking shit. The shit was fun. And I think very much the last act of this movie does save the movie enough for me to recommend if you are looking for a creature feature. If you're looking for horror, it's 1 hour and 36 minutes. So if you're looking for a creature feature, it's short enough to where it doesn't fully bother you when you get those first 55 minutes of nothing. But then when you get to the creature stuff, you're like, you know what? It was kind of worth the wait, because it does go pretty hard. And I really did enjoy the stuff in that third act, which was what I was there for. If they could have just added 20 more minutes of that. Oh. So that's to say, I did not enjoy the first half of this movie. And then being kind of cock-teased towards the second act was, pretty decent. They do have moments where they're like, something's going on in the ocean. But here's the problem with that. Unless you're showing the Kraken fully, all you're getting are people getting pulled underwater, all the stuff that you see in these kinds of films. And the Kraken, I think, is a little bit more unique than the 16th shark film that comes out this year about crazy sharks. So I wish they would have done a little bit more to build that up. There are some cool mythical elements that they slightly touch on, but it's a cool shot and then they never bring it up again. Would have liked a little bit more of that. We could have gone cosmic. It's not Cthulhu, but we could have gone cosmic with some of it. For instance, a lot of the lore of the Kraken is that some fishermen believe that they've seen the Kraken's back. Because it's so big, they've mistaken its back for an island. That would have been cool to have the Kraken kind of just chilling in the background the whole movie, and then you go, Holy fuck, that thing, I've seen the whole movie. That mountain was actually the Kraken the whole time. That would have been cool. There's also some lore that says that the fishermen would actually try to antagonize and agitate the Kraken because the Kraken's back worked as a shelter for fish. So by antagonizing it, it would rise and then the fish would come out and they would fish. But unfortunately, they didn't really touch on that. There is a moment where you see the fish come out of it, and I thought it was really cool. There's a lot of stuff they could have used that second act to flesh out the mythos of the Kraken. At the end, it really is just simply a creature feature when they left a lot of good mythos on the table. So in that way, it is kind of throwaway, but that third act was still fucking fun. So that's all I got to say about that movie. Stay tuned for another review, because Minions and Monsters is coming up next, and I'm actually really fucking excited for that movie. So, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for the support. And as always, I will see you at the movies.